Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutayampi buddham saranam gacchami. Dutayampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutayampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatayampi sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas. May I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas. May I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas. May I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. So now stay in a comfortable position, whether that's sitting up on a couch or a chair, or on the floor on a cushion, cross-legged, either with the full Vajra or the full lotus position, or diamond position, with the two, sort of bottoms of the feet upward, or the half one, with the left leg on the bottom, the right on the top. Or even if you have a bad back or something, lying down. And just bring your mind initially to your body, starting at the tips of your toes, releasing the tension in the body. As you do this, you will release the tension in your mind as well. It's very helpful. So release the tension from your toes, from the balls of your feet and the arches and the heels. From the top of your feet and your ankles and surrounds and Achilles tendons. From your calf muscle or muscles and your shin area. Release the tension from around your knees, from the front, sides and back of your knees. From the upper leg, the quad muscles and the hamstrings. From the midsection, the butt muscles, the groin muscles, and the hip flexor muscles. From your lower stomach and on and just above your hips and your lower back. Further up your stomach, your sides, and through to the center of your back. The chest area underneath your arms and your upper back, paying specific attention to the rhomboid muscles that run between the shoulder blades and the spine. The lateral muscles and the upper trap muscles that run between the neck and the shoulders. Release the tension from your shoulders and your upper arms, biceps and triceps. Your elbows and forearms, wrists, hands, fingers and thumbs. Now bring your attention to releasing the tension from your neck, from the front, sides and back of your neck. Make sure your posture is good, nice and relaxed, but also upright, not slouching. From the back of your head, and the sides of your head, around your ears and temples. And now release the tension from your face, around the cheekbones, the cheeks, the jaw. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw. From your chin and your mouth, both inside and outside. Resting your tongue gently above the top teeth on the upper palate of your mouth. From your nose and sinuses, eye sockets and eyes. And your forehead, make sure you're not frowning. And finally, the crown of your head, right at the top of your head. Now briefly scan your body again, just to see if there's any residue tension that you can release. From the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers and to the top of your head. Now gently bring your attention initially to the tip of your nose. And the object of the meditation is the breath, anapanasati, which means mindfulness of the breath. As you breathe in and breathe out. Practicing what we also call samatha, or calm abiding meditation. Of course, the goal initially is for relaxation and concentration, eventually to be able to attain samadhi, or the one-pointed concentration. As you breathe in, you'll notice the air is quite cool on the back of your throat. It goes down past the throat area and chest area Into your lungs, they expand as they fill with air. And as you breathe out, they compress. And the air leaves the same way it came in, but this time it's slightly warmer on the back of your throat as you breathe out through your nose. Just try your best to keep your mind seamlessly on this process of breathing. When thoughts appear, or mental afflictions, or emotions, feelings, don't cling to them. Don't grasp at them. But also don't try to forcefully push them away or deny them. Just let them go peacefully by refocusing on your breath. Don't be hard on yourself. Nice and gently focusing on the breath. If you find your mind becoming sleepy and dull, just wake it up ever so slightly by refocusing on the breath. This way the breath becomes the antidote for both the worried and agitated mind, as well as the dull and sleepy mind. Now we'll do this for a couple of minutes in silence. Every now and then through meditation sessions, not so much this one because it's so short, but let's say, for instance, you put aside 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes or more. Just every now and then check your posture, check your body to make sure that you're not tensing up. Because we have habitual creatures, we may have the habit of being tense. So by continually, or not so much continually, but every now and then, releasing whatever tension has arisen from your body helps to develop the habit of doing so. So your body will remain more relaxed over time. And as mentioned, this also helps the mind to calm down. Now you can feel really pleased with yourself, even though it is a short meditation, that you've given yourself the opportunity to look into your mind, to get to know yourself in your mind, remembering that the mind is the source of all of our experiences. Extend warm, loving kindness to yourself, having such thoughts as, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be well. May I be wise, may I be compassionate and loving. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And may I have happiness in the causes of happiness. Fill your whole being with warm, loving kindness. Now extend this loving kindness outwards, radiating it to your friends and your family, wishing that they too have happiness in its causes, and are free from suffering and its causes. Now you can include strangers, those that you know just a little bit, but not really. You don't really have such an attachment towards them or an aversion away from them. Wishing that they too have happiness and are free from suffering. Now radiate this loving kindness to also include those you might regard as enemies, those people that you find very difficult. Wishing that they have happiness and the causes of happiness, and are free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And slowly extending and radiating this universal loving kindness outwards to include all living beings. Those living beings that live on the land, under the land, in the waters, and fly through the air. Whether they are born from wombs, or from eggs, or from moisture, or through transformation. Whether they're near or distant. Whether you know about them or not. Do so now throughout your area, the surrounds of your home. And slowly extend this loving kindness out further and further to incorporate the region that you live in, the cities, the states, the whole country. Extend this loving kindness further and further, just like a tidal wave of loving kindness, pervading the whole planet, through the center of the planet as well, not just the surface, and through the skies, the atmosphere. Now extend this loving kindness beyond just this planet to incorporate and pervade the whole solar system and all of the solar systems within this galaxy and all of the galaxies within this universe. Extend this loving kindness, this immeasurable loving kindness beyond limit throughout infinite space. Now come back to yourself. And right now we will do the dedication prayer, so we don't run out of time later. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings. May the precious Bodhichitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. So, to reiterate what we were talking about in the last class, we're talking about the purpose, the methods, and the practice, or the means. So to practice the Dharma, and in fact do anything in life, we must have a reason for doing it. What is our goal? What is the purpose of our practice? For instance, if you decide you want to go to the top of a mountain, then you have to find out the way to get there. Now the purpose is there. You want to get to the top of the mountain, but then you need to find a method on how to do so. For instance, you can walk. If there are roads, you can drive. You can catch a helicopter. But you need to know how to do it. So you either ask somebody who knows how to get there, and then you follow their directions, or even follow them. Or you find a map, or you find another way to get there. And then, of course, you have to put it into practice. You actually have to do it. You have to get there. I'm just going to get some more light because I know the sun's starting to go down. So anyway, purpose, methods, practice. I think some of us who have practiced the Buddhism for a long time, maybe we fall into the trap on occasions of not thinking of the basics sometimes. But the basics in practice like this are like the foundation of a house. For the house to remain in good condition, the foundation has to remain strong. So the foundation of our practice has to remain strong as we work our way through developing immeasurable compassion and the supreme wisdom eventually. So never forget the purpose, the methods, and the means, or the practice. Now, in relation to the Dharma, you could say path, the whole of the Dharma, we have the foundation, we have the path, and then of course we have the result of the path. The foundation, put very briefly, is known as relative truth and the ultimate truth. Of course, the ultimate truth we don't know yet. This is the ultimate truth of enlightenment, and therefore is the result of the path. So we have to work with relative truth right now. But we also, as we work and contemplate and live with the relative truth, we must also know that it is impermanent, that it has the nature of being unsatisfactory, and there is no self. What we call shunyata, emptiness of self, or substantiality, and also expressed as anatta in Pali, or in Sanskrit, anatman. And this is the no self, the lack of a permanent, unchanging self that is independent from everything else. We should understand that everything is interdependent. For instance, this conversation could not happen without you guys listening right now, or without me talking, or even without the wish that we do this class. Everything is interdependent. Without me buying a new iPhone, for instance, because my old iPhone 4 would not have been sufficient for us to be able to do this. And then, of course, we can even think deeper and more detail, think about where it came from, that iPhone, the idea to come up with it in the first place. What's his name? Alexander Bell or something. The guy that first came up with the telephone, for instance. The idea of it. Maybe it was around before that. So, relative and ultimate truth. That's the foundation. Then, of course, we have the path, which you can say is the Four Noble Truths. We have the truth of unsatisfactoriness. Then we have the truth of the cause of unsatisfactoriness, which is ignorance and attachment that arises from this ignorance. How can we attach to that which is impermanent? How can we attach to that which has no permanent self that is separate from anything else and everything else? Of course, the actual practice of the Four Noble Truths, and that is recommended by the Buddha, is the Eightfold Path. So this is the path we need to traverse. This is the path we need to travel on while we practice the Dharma, and before we can realize the result of the path, which we call loosely enlightenment, or Bodhi. In Sanskrit, the supreme enlightenment is spoken as Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, and in Pali is Sama Sambuddha. The Eightfold Path, just very, very briefly, consists of three aspects: the wisdom aspect, morality, and the meditation aspect. The wisdom aspect is mentioned first because this is the goal, this is the purpose of our practice, is to develop the supreme wisdom, or you should say unveil the supreme wisdom that many believe is already there. It's covered over by our delusions and our ignorance and our attachments and so forth. So the first of the Eightfold Path is known as right understanding, and this is known as the direct antidote to wrong understanding, of course, or gives rise to wisdom and is the antidote for ignorance. Then we have the right intentions or thoughts, and this is the antidote for attachment and aversion. This ignorance, attachment, and aversion are also known as the three poisons. They give rise to all of the other mental afflictions that block our way of seeing the truth and realizing the enlightened nature. Like I said, these first two relate to wisdom, known as the three higher trainings, wisdom, or in order, morality, meditation, and wisdom. But the wisdom is mentioned first, like I said, because this is the purpose, this is the goal of our path. Then we have the next three that relate to morality. Right speech, to avoid any harmful speech. I'll go into detail in the next coming classes. We have right action, to do only beneficial actions and to avoid harmful actions. We have right livelihood, or way of living. And these are the three aspects that relate to morality, or sila. Then we have the right effort, which I like to call enthusiastic perseverance, because with this effort, we need to have enthusiasm, which is gained through realizing the path and practicing well, realizing some sort of results along the way, and also persevere, because there's going to be many times you're not going to feel like it because of old habits, but you must persevere to maintain a wholesome state of mind and to relinquish unwholesome states of mind. Then we have the right mindfulness, mindful in regards to our body, our feelings, our mind itself, and the objects of the mind or activities of the mind. Then we have the right concentration. Now these last three, effort, mindfulness, and concentration, relate to the meditation aspect of the Eightfold Path. If I can speak briefly of the three higher trainings again, in order. When we are moral, there's less or even nothing to feel guilty about, nothing to regret or feel remorseful about. And therefore the mind is ripe for meditation, to develop our concentration, to be more clear, to have more stamina. And the more our concentration has more stamina and is more clear, the more that we can utilize our ability to penetrate beyond the worldly aspects of things, to develop deeper insight into the nature of reality. Utilize what we call vipassana meditation, penetrative insight meditation. And therefore, doing this, wisdom arises, or we realize the wisdom. Last week, Ahmed mentioned the Bodhichitta, how this relates to the Theravada path. And I think I mentioned that, you know, these paths we have in Buddhism, we have the three main vehicles, or sometimes known as two, because the third one is actually included in the second one. Now, the first one is Theravada, which means school of the elders. Then we have the Mahayana, which means the great vehicle, of which Bodhicitta is the foundation of the practice in this path. And then we have the Vajrayana, which is translated as the diamond vehicle. This is the type of Buddhism that uses a lot of visualization and mantras to help to develop this wisdom and compassion. So the Bodhicitta, Bodhi means enlightenment, Chitta means consciousness or mind. So the enlightened consciousness or mind. In other words, what we are doing is we are placing our mind in the direction of enlightenment, but not only for ourselves. Because we are all interdependent, we must consider other living beings. I'm sure that many people have heard the word bodhisattva, bodhi, enlightenment, sattva, being, a being on the way to enlightenment and helping others to work towards enlightenment as well. Bodhicitta, the practice of bodhicitta, there's a few different ways we can do this. Of course, I'll go into more detail in the future. But the first one is the four immeasurables. The four immeasurables, we chanted the prayer before for the four immeasurables: love, compassion, joy or empathetic joy, and equanimity, known in Pali as metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. Of course, the love, the compassion, and the joy for the benefit of others must be based on a mind of equanimity, a non-biased mind. I'm pretty sure we only have a couple more minutes left from today. So, like I said, with the questions, please write them down and either ask me through the social media platforms, or or text, or give us a call. No problem. Always feel free to do so, or keep them for future classes. And as mentioned previously, what we'll do is eventually we'll do 2 classes, or 1 class really, broken up into the 2 times, 40-minute Zoom times or limits. Okay, so at the moment though, we'll just get this right. So maybe another couple of weeks of doing just a 40-minute class, and then we will increase that. I'm getting a little better dealing with this phone here. I still haven't been able to get it onto my laptop. I think I'll have to change the home page or server or whatever it's called, and then I should be able to get on. But anyway, so I hope everybody is well and dealing with these difficulties we're going through in a peaceful way and in a balanced way. Remember that you're the one that looks after your mind and your conditions. You are responsible. That's actually a really cool thing. It means we're not controlled by others. So if you do have to go out, especially if you're living in Melbourne, if you have to go out, then do so wearing a mask, and do so in wearing gloves. But also be careful with it. Don't let the mask and the gloves make you be complacent. Maintain good hygiene, washing your hands, touching your face as little as possible. When this virus first came on the scene in Australia, mainly in March, I was amazed how much I touched my face. So this is something I've had to change over time. And then, so these are only small things, really. The people are making such a big deal in the public about it, but actually they're quite small things. And so if we can see it like that with an open mind, and with taking responsibility for ourselves as well as others, then I think it'd be much easier to abide, with these things now. And hopefully these cases will come down. And then, so 4 minutes left, okay. Okay, so I have a little bit more time than I thought. Thanks. And so basically, maybe we can talk slightly about that. As you may be, looking at the media a lot, and me too, to find out information and be informed. Try not to let it overwhelm you, remembering, and there are many really good journalists, with good intentions, and the shows with good intentions, but really the job is to keep people watching. So sometimes I think there's a bit of sensationalism within the journalism. Maybe they're mentioning all of the negatives and not much positive activities happening. But there are many people that are actually really doing a good job of looking after themselves and their families, and therefore looking after the communities at large as well. And also the government, I've heard people talking down about the government. In reality, they're just doing the best they can. Personally, in Victoria, I think the Premier is doing a wonderful job, and it's so hard for him, and his people. It's like chasing something that's running away at the moment. And so the people need to be more responsible. And it's very unfortunate that people are rebelling against these things. I don't think it's in this case, the politicians' fault. They can only do the best they can at the time. And the same with obviously the federal as well, and the other states. And so try to have a positive outlook on this. I guess in a way, try to avoid being paranoid and fearful. Replace that with conscientiousness and cautiousness. To be cautious with a peaceful mind, to be conscientious in relation not only to yourself but to others, then we actually can be a benefit to other people and the community at large, as well as keeping our mind calm. The fear, if we're always fearful, this is full of doubts and uncertainty. And if we're really paranoid about things, then it's like closing the mind. Using the example that I use often, it's like having the camera on close up. That's all you see is that, all the negativity. You don't see some of the positive things around you. It is better to quote an old quote, which I've been, expanded upon over time. It is better to have a glass half full than half empty. But better still is to realize there's no glass to begin with. So maybe what I mean by that is to have a middle path view, to perceive the negatives, perceive the positives, but try your best not to be overcome by them and overwhelmed by them. So I'll see everybody next week. And like I said, the invite's out there. If you want to call me or get in touch with me anytime, just do so. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Always remember that's the foundation in the path, is to take refuge as well. Refuge in the teacher, the Buddha, the teaching, the Dharma, and the spiritual community that upholds the teachings by putting them into practice and sharing them with others. So they're called the triple gem, or